21st century, after the century of horrors, we were promised that those things would never again occur. And then it happened. After a week of us marching and standing with Israel this Tuesday night, shortly after 10 o'clock, all of our phones exploded. Texts and videos, reactions, fear and outrage. And of course, my mother said, take down your mezuzah, don't wear your Magen David, it's not safe out there. In Los Angeles, we say no. We are fortunate enough to have leaders who have stood with us, Jewish and non-Jewish. Our elected officials, LAPD, Beverly Hills Police Department, our federal marshals, our sheriff, they've all condemned in the loudest, unambiguous terms that anti-Semitism and Jew hatred have no place in Los Angeles. That they will hunt down and find the perpetrators of these hate-based acts of violence, and they've already found the first person. They are redoubling their effort to keep our community safe. And we know that these acts are not anti-Zionist, they're anti-Semitic, or the better term, Jew hatred. And what makes hate crimes especially heinous and horrific is they don't just affect the victim, not those young men at that restaurant. The point of hate crimes and anti-Semitic violence is to strike fear in the hearts of all of us so that we change the way we live our lives. We became ashamed of what we value. And to that we say no. Today we draw a line. On that point, it's imperative on all of us to act. Hate crimes are the most underreported crimes anywhere. If you see something, an act of hate, anti-Semitism of any kind, big or small, against Jew or anyone else, we need to speak up and report it. On this issue, we are our brother's keeper. And finally, today, there are Democrats here, there are Republicans here, and we have many differences. But today we agree that there is no place for anti-Semitism in Los Angeles, in America. There's no place for hate of any kind against any of our brothers, of any of our neighbors. Today we take a stand together, united. We will not tolerate Jew hatred anymore. Today it stops. Am Yisrael Chai!
All right, please welcome syndicated radio show host, best-selling author and lawyer, 7th generation Israeli, whose father, by the way, fought in Israel's wars from the War of Independence to the Yom Kippur. My personal friend, Barak Larry!
Thank you, Mikey. What an honor it is to be here today, and thank you all for being here. This is such an extraordinary crowd. I had no idea it would be this big, and it's fantastic. It's what we need. I want to thank so many of you for being out here, especially the young people, both Christians and Jews. This is a turning point. Thank you. You are the next generation. You will make the difference among them, and you know them. It's my son, Max Lurie. He's there somewhere. He's a leader, and you need to be a leader like him. Please. Thanks also to, this is about information. Stand with us is here. Roz Rothstein. It's fantastic. It's great to see you. We also have Robert Stearns from Eagle's Wings here. Fantastic Christian organization. This is a mutual dual group of Jews and Christians united in the most important mission we have today. Also, I want to thank Bishop Juan Carlos Mendez, who is here today. This is for Churches in Action. This is an amazing church that brings up all different churches of all kinds. 2,300 churches together in 85 countries. Very impressive. All pro-Israel. Look, I want to say that you can try to persuade all the anti-Israel extremists out there. You can do that all day long, but nothing will happen. Nothing will make a difference in that way. You can try. It won't work. The people that you can influence are those who don't know very much about Israel, those who sit on the sidelines. You need to speak to them. They understand the difference between evil and good. The extremists on the other side, those who chant for the death of Israel, there's no talking with them. Don't even try. All they want is, all our enemies really want is to seek destruction, darkness, and death. This is a battle for what is right and what is good. Our goal is not to convince the extremists, but to convince those who do not know as much about Israel's region or its history. And in a way, to convince ourselves of the good of Israel. For that, you should go to stand with us, I said, in so many other information sources, like Dennis Prager and PragerU. We must never assume that others will do the work to protect Israel. We have too many enemies that we need, so we have to have all hands on deck all the time. We all must be a part of the fight against the evil of Hamas, of Hezbollah, of Iran, and all the others who seek to destroy Israel. Yes, and AOC and her squad. So, your best weapon is to get informed and get others informed. Stand up as a Jew and stand up as a Christian and as an American for Israel. Our government needs to stand for Israel as well. It must not hesitate. Israel's enemies are watching what America says very closely. We must not embolden them to think that we don't care. Remember that with Israel, we have become strong. We live with more respect and success in every nation in which we live, especially in America. So we cannot take Israel for granted. Israel is like water. While it is abundant, we appreciate it, but we do not even think about it. But take away that water, and that's pretty much all you think about. Hamas and Iran are in the business of death. Worse, they hold their own people hostage, except that their people often don't even know it. Worse than that, Hamas often makes their people do their horrific bidding for them. Instead of building hospitals and new infrastructure, they build tunnels. When they're not building tunnels, they're destroying hospitals and greenhouses and everything else the Israelis may have left them in 2005. Their operating system is hate. This is their reason for being. We need to change their operating system, a system which other Arab countries like the UAE, Bahrain, Yemen, Sudan, Morocco have all recently adopted themselves. This is not an Arab versus Jew thing. Now is the time to fight for Israel. Now is the time to say something, to stand for something. You will look back on these times and you will ask yourself, did I do what was necessary for Israel and for Jews, and for that matter, for Christianity and for civilization itself? Did I at least speak out? Did I show up and make myself counted as a supporter? Or did I hide in my shell, worried that my support might cost me some business, that I might get attacked physically or verbally, or heaven forbid, that someone might defriend me on social media? Courage is not what you do where you think that there are no consequences. Courage is what you do when you know there are consequences. Israel cannot do it alone. I want you to know that Israel needs us, all of us in the diaspora. We are an essential part in the survival and success of Israel. We are Israel right here. We cannot separate ourselves from Israel and expect her to survive any more than we can take out our own hearts from our own bodies and expect those bodies to survive. Now is the time. Your fellow Jews and Israel and all of the supporters of Israel are counting on you. They are watching. And far more importantly, God, Hashem, is watching. Am Israel Chai. All right, folks, now it is my great honor to introduce to you my good friend, my mentor, and an incredible force for good in our world. You know, and the Beatles thought they had it tough. Dennis is the host of the Dennis Prager Show, founder of PragerU, writer of countless books and articles advancing the Judeo-Christian mindset and values. His most recent being his Rational Bible series, which I love deeply, and truly one of the brightest minds of our day, Mr. Dennis Prager.
I'm not sure I have to say anything, actually. I'm very touched by your reaction. I have a few things I want to share with you. But right before I speak, I saw someone who is one of the great Jews of our time, Rabbi Shlomo Kunin, who is the head of all the Chabads on the West Coast in California. And I asked him to say something for a moment. A blessing from a group I love, Chabad, Rabbi Shlomo Kunin.
You must understand that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, when they came to say to him that the 6-day war is coming, this terrible war, all of these things the Rebbe spoke before 10,000 Jews, and the Rebbe said, Israel, Makom Ba'olam, Achi Batoach. Israel is the safest place in the world. And the Rebbe said, you gotta do this. Put on tefillin every day. Put mezuzahs on your door. If you're afraid of a mezuzah to buy, call us, we'll give it to you for nothing. And nothing to be afraid of. The ladies would like to shop his candles and all the rest. And we're gonna see soon the coming of Mashiach. Immediately, right now. Give your kids a Jewish education, because intermarriage is a horrible thing. Realize that. Educate them with Jews. The teachers believe in what they are teaching. I turn this over now to Rabbi Dennis.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi Shlomo. By the way, if you give your kids a Jewish education, in fact, any religious education in America, you are vaccinating them against a much, much greater threat than COVID. And that is what they will study at university. They will learn the opposite of truth. My friends, there is a much larger issue than just Israel, and God, that is enough for any of us. But there is a larger issue. A world in which Hamas is not evil and Israel is a sick world. That is the greater crisis of our time. That we have to make the case at a rally in the year 2021 that Israel is not the villain and Hamas is sick. It is morally sick. There is something at the heart of the West that is sick at this time. And it is part and parcel of the notion that America is evil. The people who believe America is evil believe Israel is evil. They go together. There are no exceptions. Once you accept a great lie, you can accept a second great lie. So please understand the genesis of this sickness. A group of terrorists sends thousands of rockets over a peaceful country to destroy as many people as possible. The other country responds, and the responding country is the villain. Do you understand how sick things have gotten? Do you understand how bad it is at Harvard, at UCLA, at the University of Missouri? It doesn't matter what college. A young woman who attends Harvard, who is going to be working for me this summer, told me that she saw a sign up at Harvard that the Jews went into Palestine for oil. At Harvard, the ignorance is as great as the evil. I guess they really blew it, the Jews, didn't they? They should have gone to Saudi Arabia, and instead, look at where they ended up. People believe that. Jews went to Palestine it's not like the Jews had been there for thousands of years. There has never been, people don't know this, they don't know anything because they went to college. And therefore they know almost nothing. And what they do know is probably wrong. And I wish I were joking. I wish I were exaggerating. There have only been 3 independent states in what is called Palestine in the history of Earth. Jewish state 1, Jewish state 2, and Jewish state 3. That is not an opinion. That is not pro-Israel. That is true. There has never been a Palestinian state. There has never been an Arab state. There has never been an independent Muslim state there. 3 independent Jewish states. It's not like the Jews looked on the map and said, what a great place to go. Lovely beaches and oil. No, it's that they went back home. That is all it is. My friends, there are 22 Arab states. There is not room for one Jewish state the size of New Jersey. Do you understand what is being said? There are 50 plus Muslim states in the world. There is no room for one Jewish state. If it weren't for the Jews, there would be no Islam. Muhammad rooted his beliefs in what he studied from the Jews. Did you know that Muhammad fasted on Yom Kippur? I'll bet you didn't know that. And only when the Jews rejected him as the final prophet did he change it to Ramadan. I think we have the better deal because one day is easier than a month, but nevertheless, I have no issue with this Muslim practice, which can certainly be elevating. But it's unbelievable what we are expected to believe. Israel responds. So what is the number? I don't know if the latest number of Palestinians that are purported to have been killed. 220, 11 days of rockets, and 220 Palestinians in Gaza got killed. Do you understand how pinpointed Israel was to avoid civilian casualties? Do you realize that? We have a video up, which, by the way, Prime Minister Netanyahu tweeted out, a PragerU video, by the commander of British forces in Afghanistan, titled, "Israel is the most moral army in the world." For a British colonel to say that about another army, that is quite a remarkable compliment. It is the most moral army in the world. The last thing Israel wants is to kill civilians. They use civilians. I believe with every fiber in my body that every Jew standing here, not to mention non-Jew, every Jew standing here, every Israeli, virtually, I can't speak for all, cares more about Gaza deaths than Hamas does. I think we weep for their children more than they do. They are scum. Hamas is scum. If you don't know that, there is something wrong with you. It is as simple as that. And I bet every one of you has a relative or a friend that cannot say Hamas is evil. That is frightening. And if it is one of your children, I want to embrace you. because it has to be so painful to have a child whose conscience has been so corrupted that they cannot recognize good from evil. Hamas is a force of evil. And nobody knows that better than a lot of Palestinians who have been tortured to death because they opposed Hamas. You don't read about them in the New York Times. So let me talk to you about the media. Yes, you can boo all you like. That's correct. They have been taken over by the same people who tell us Israel is villains. You know what the New York Times actual headline was last week? Violence breaks out in the Middle East. If the New York Times had the same reporters today, or in 1941 as it does today, their headline would have been, "Violence breaks out at Pearl Harbor." By the way, if you went to college in the last few years, you probably don't know what happened at Pearl Harbor. I'm not kidding. I bet you that the average college student today does not know what happened at Pearl Harbor. All they know is America is systemically racist and Israel is an apartheid state. That's what they know. There are members of Congress who say Israel is an apartheid state. Isn't it odd then? Why would Arab Israelis want to stay in an apartheid state when they could be free in any Arab country? Because they're the freest Arabs in the Middle East, the Arabs of Israel. They have the most rights. Where would you rather be a gay Arab? In Israel or in the Palestinian territories? Where would you rather be a female Arab? In Israel or in any Arab country? Why is this not obvious to the New York Times? Because the New York Times is not interested in the truth. It just isn't. I say this with pain, but it is a fact. CNN is not interested in truth. They're interested in taking down the West. And it begins with the United States and Israel. They are on the tip of the spear of Western civilization, of the idea that there is a truth. It's all interrelated. This is what you must understand. You can't say, oh, they're wrong on Israel, but they're right on America. If you think they're right on America, then what you have said is truth doesn't matter. And if truth doesn't matter, then Israel is the other villain in their eyes. That's what needs to be understood. This is all part of a battle to smear what is good. The prophet Hosea said, woe unto those who call good evil and evil good. It is apparently not a new problem in human existence of the inability to call that. And finally, I want to talk to you about the other thing we hear about a great deal, world opinion. So, ask the Armenians how much world opinion helped them. Ask the Jews of the Holocaust, how much did world opinion help you? Ask the Chinese under Mao, 60 million starved to death and tortured to death by Mao. How did world opinion show up in your case? How did world opinion show up for the 20 to 40 million Russians and others that Stalin killed, the 6 million Ukrainians that he starved to death? World opinion? I spit on it. It is a moral fraud. When Iran is the head of the Human Rights Committee for Women at the UN. You can't make that stuff up. Is that not evidence of a sick world? Iran should not be on a committee, let alone head a committee, anything to do with human rights. The Iranian regime is an evil regime. Why can't people say that? I'll tell you why. I've believed this my whole life. People cannot stare at evil. Evil is not dark. You can stare into the dark. Evil is bright, and people cannot stare into the bright light. So what happens when you don't call evil evil? May the person be treated well. What happens when you don't call evil evil? You call good evil. That is a rule of human nature. If you don't fight real evil, you will make up evils to fight. If you don't fight Hamas, you fight American white supremacists. You fight Israeli apartheidists. You make up evil because you won't fight evil. That is why this is the battle of our time. And one final very, very problematic statement. I don't know if you know this, it was just brought to my attention today, but a letter that was signed by dozens of rabbinic students in American Jewish seminaries, calling Israel an apartheid state and calling it the villain. Dozens at the Reform Movement Seminary, the Conservative Movement Seminary, and the Reconstructionist Movement Seminary. That is how dark things are in Jewish life. And will they be condemned by Reform, Conservative, and Reconstructionist rabbis? I don't know. But if you don't condemn that letter, then the darkness has taken over non-Orthodox life, and I'm not an Orthodox Jew. I have no axe to grind except truth. Something bad is happening in Jewish life. If these are your future rabbis, don't go to their shul. Yeah, the darkness has hit us, my friends. It's not them. It's us just as much as them. It's a good and evil issue, my friends. So you were told before, you know, Miss Iraq stood up here. Do you know what guts it took for her to stand with Miss Israel and take a photo? She can't go back to Iraq. That's it, my friends. That's my final word for you. The greatest of the human traits, the greatest, is courage. And I'll tell you exactly how to get it. You know what God says to human beings more than any other thing in the Bible? Al tira, don't be afraid. Then you will have courage. People will drop you from their Facebook page. My friends, that is not the Gulag Archipelago. That is not Auschwitz. Okay? Let's be clear about what faith that is. And by the way, if friends drop you because you say Hamas is the villain, then thank God that you know about your friends now, and you don't have to learn it 10 years from now. So friends, listen, you want to sleep well at night? Get out of the closet. That is what Jews and conservatives must do. Get out of the closet. It's tough in the beginning, and it's exhilarating at the end. Thank you. God bless you.